Hi, I'm Kaushik. I have 14 years of B2B corporate experience before starting and entering the entire world of podcasting and entrepreneurship. We've been in the personal branding space for a long time, and that's why we wanted to take you through what we do as a part of our LinkedIn audit for our clients itself. So, this is going to be behind the scenes actual tips and tricks that we've used to improve the profiles of founders, HR leaders, technology leaders to amplify their thought leadership. Having said that, of course, we've also helped a lot of people find better jobs, some at even less than a month. At the same time, we've also worked with solopreneurs, sales teams to build their profiles and even get leads. So if you fall into any of the above, you must listen, and actually not just listen, but also execute what we will be discussing to actually get ahead. The first question that you would be having is, why LinkedIn? For starters, the user base of this platform has just crossed 1 billion users. Of course, it's still much lesser than the 3-4 billion that, let's say, the YouTubes and the Metas have, but it's still a very substantial crowd, especially because it's the largest B2B platform that exists today. In 2024, I was in the 0.0012% of the people, because I used to post daily. So even if you post thrice a week, you will comfortably be in the top 1 to 2%, which we believe is the sweet spot. And if you're using LinkedIn for what it was originally planned for, which is the job market, 87% of recruiters use LinkedIn to find candidates. Yet, over 50% of the profiles are incomplete or outdated, which obviously means that if you are able to do this LinkedIn audit and fix your profile itself, you will straight away be ranking much higher, which will give you much better job offers, much better networking opportunities, or even potential clients. If you're in sales, like I had been for a very long time, you would be knowing that LinkedIn is an excellent place to get very high potential B2B clients. In fact, we have a couple of founders who are using our sales outreach as well, but they are leveraging the platform along with personal branding to even raise funds for their B2C startups. So the potential of LinkedIn is much, much, much larger than you think. The next question probably on your mind would be that why the LinkedIn profile, right? How important would be the LinkedIn profile versus, let's say, commenting, or let's say even posting content? And this one will primarily be around the profile itself, so we'll stick to that. We've worked with 40 plus leaders for their personal branding, and this may sound weird, but all of our clients have come from LinkedIn. So believe me when I say that LinkedIn is primarily your digital business card, it's a personal website, and a networking hub, all rolled into one. And this is an absolute rarity in 2025. So now that we understand the importance, especially of the LinkedIn profile, which is as good as your landing page, let's dive into the 9-step audit that will make your LinkedIn profile absolutely stand out. Studies have shown that a professional photo can increase your profile views by up to 14 times. The very first step for that is that you need to use a recent image. You won't believe the number of times I have seen people use a photograph that's probably 5 or 10 years old. And let me tell you my perspective as to why this is not a good sign. Suppose I need to actually meet you now. It can be on a Zoom meeting, it can be face to face, that doesn't matter. But the first time that I will meet you, I will always have your photograph that I've seen on LinkedIn as the benchmark. So if you are 10 years different, the first thought that occurs to me is that you are just not confident enough to be showing what you are now, which according to me is a major red flag. Basically take a high resolution image with less distraction around you or behind you. In fact, now with iPhones, you can even take very nice photos. You can blur the background, use portrait mode. The third point is the dressing. Now, I would not suggest that you need to always dress up very formally. It depends as to what is your industry. For instance, if you are a techie, there's no need to be in a 3-piece suit, right? But similarly, if you are a CEO, you need to at least be in formals. Need not be a blazer and a suit, but at least be in a full shirt. Of course, if your style is a Mark Zuckerberg and you prefer a hoodie, that's fine. But remember that the portrayal that you are showing there through your photograph is what people will have in mind. And here is a pro tip for you. If you don't have a professional headshot, you can use tools, as I mentioned, like Canva or Adobe Express to enhance your photo. Some of our clients are even using applications like Photo, Snapseed, or even Monica AI for those who want to leverage AI for their profile pictures. Step 2, we come to the attention grabbing headline. This is one of the most visible parts of your profile. It's more than just your job title, though I've seen a lot of people do that. But it's primarily your elevator pitch. So how do you really write a standout headline? The first thing is you need to highlight what you do, and more importantly, who you help. Use industry relevant keywords for discoverability, because a lot of people will actually see the headline itself and will try and figure out what exactly you do. Third is try and showcase your unique value proposition. So it can be your achievements, your accolades, awards, but show your unique value proposition. One can be helping startups scale through data-driven marketing. It can be an award-winning graphic designer. If you're a software engineer, it can be simple as building scalable solutions for fintech companies. So it's very focused as to what exactly is your proposition and for whom. If you look at my profile, it's very simple. It starts off with the 4X founder, because that is what shows that I've been in this space. And then global top 10 personal branding and PR agency. Since my pitch is around, we have done this ourselves before we are recommending it to you. So it's very important to understand what is your USP and then position that in your headline. A very important pro tip, although the limit is 220 characters on a desktop and 240 on the mobile, be mindful that only the first 120 characters of your headline are visible before being truncated, which means that when someone views your profile, they will only see the first 120 characters of your headline. And it's only when they go in and click to the entire profile of yours that they will see the rest. So always ensure that the first 120 characters have the key that's pointed out there. Step 3, personalizing your banner image. This has to be one of the most underutilized pieces of real estate in your LinkedIn profile. Just to let you know, LinkedIn has introduced an option of uploading up to 5 banner images that rotate automatically in a slideshow format. But this feature is designed to primarily enhance profile engagement if you're into multiple things, because each banner gets a visibility of 3 seconds. Having said that, we are into personal branding, podcasting, PR, startup consulting, but still I use only one. So my recommendation is go for one. I am yet to see anyone who uses more than that, but you do have the option if you so desire. Now, what makes a great banner? The first is the essence of marketing and branding, which is the colors. If you have a brand or a logo, it should match with the colors of the personal brand or the company brand in the banner, so that the recall is always there. And if you have a tagline or a mission statement, you should include that in there as well. If you have any clear action point that this is what I do, you can mention that as well. One thing you need to remember is the leftmost portion of the banner is not visible when someone views your profile. In my case, I don't like leaving that space blank, which is why we have included our logo in there to improve the brand recall. But if you want to leave it blank, you can leave it blank. And there's a pro tip for you here as well. You can create custom banners using Canva, even in the free license. So you can just search for LinkedIn banners, which has the dimensions mentioned out. And based on that, you can choose whichever format you want and you can make it. Step 4 is something I'm biased about. It's primarily writing a very compelling about section. And because we have an entire content vertical, so it's something near to my heart. But this is the place where you can tell your entire story. It's your chance to showcase your personality, achievements, aspirations, whatever you want to do. And it's got a very high character limit as well. So how do you really structure your about section? So the first thing is you need to start with a hook. Maybe something like, I'm passionate about helping businesses grow through innovative marketing strategies. Second thing being, you have to highlight key achievements. So again, it could be something like, with over 5 years of experience in digital marketing, I've helped brands grow their ROI by 200%. Right? So again, try and be as definitive as possible, but also explain, which comes to the third aspect, what drives you. So just don't go about numbers and achievements, but also try and tell a little more about you. So it could be something like, I thrive on solving complex problems, turning ideas into actionable plans. It could be a personal life story, things like that. And of course, the fourth part of this is to end with a clear CTA, call to action. Let's connect if you're looking for someone who can help scale your business. If you are looking for a job, may not be right now, but subsequently you can say, let's connect if you want to discuss something around, let's say, EVs, if you're in that space. You can look at my about section and be inspired by that because it follows the basic storyline. But the main pro tip that I have for you that most people miss is, if you're able to somehow end the about section with a slight sense of humor. You will not believe how many people have complimented the ending of my about me section. And you can still keep a CTA at the end of it, but it should be ending on a very nice, humorous note. This gets us to step number 5, which is basically customizing your LinkedIn URL. You will not believe the number of people who make this rookie mistake. They have the URL as something like linkedin.com/in/kaushikbose87398. You've got to have a neat and custom LinkedIn URL, which makes it easier for people to actually find you. This is super important if you're looking at, let's say, trying to share this link in your CV, or even if you're trying to even WhatsApp it to somebody. You want to remember this as easily as possible and try and make it look as professional as well. For instance, mine is Kaushik-Bose. If you're setting it now, you may not get a first name, last name. So you can introduce something around a keyword, for example. So it might be Kaushik Bose Brain Box or a Kaushik Bose BB, something of that sort. A pro tip here, if you want to use numbers very intelligently also, you can. So for example, Arpita's LinkedIn URL is Arpita Bose 80, because she's born in 1980, so she's 44. But anyone who looks at her will not imagine she's more than 30. And since she's in the wellness space, it's intentionally placed in a way to set the numbers to get the starting of the conversation going. The next section is the experience section. Your experience section should tell a story about where you've been and where you're also going. As you can see right here, I have about 13 or 14 experiences, could have been still more. But you'll see a very interesting trend. In the beginning, when I was working, I had a much more detailed discussion as to what I was doing. Till this much is where my work life was. And as soon as it went into founders, it became very, very concise. So the concept is that when you're going to be seeing it, you will be able to actually just see the headlines here and that's it. But the very key point here is also on the skills. So you should be able to showcase the skills very, very clearly. And I see a lot of people focusing primarily on the job duties. Ideally don't. Focus on achievements instead, because the job duties can simply be ascertained from the skills itself. Each of the different profiles should have a different skill associated with it. So this will be, each of them should have a skill associated with it. A pro tip here, be strategic about what you're incorporating in your current tenure. For example, even if you have 2 current profiles, like I do, Brainbox Catalyst as well as Brainbox Kurukul, be clear on which is the one that you want to actually showcase in your headline. So in your headline here, you can choose which of the 2 or the 3. This should be positioning your current company profile.
If you are in the job market, without a doubt, this has to be one of the most important sections on your LinkedIn profile. Essentially, LinkedIn leverages AI to understand which sections you need to be classified under. So, of course, while they do have other sections and they do read all of it, but the skills section is a slam dunk. So, how do you optimize your skills? At the outset, you should add at least 10 skills that align with your expertise. As you can see, I have about 56. And it's not that I need to necessarily add them, but one thing you should be careful is that it's only the first 2 or 3 skills that are being displayed. because that is what is visible without pressing the entire list. Encourage your colleagues or clients to endorse you as well. So for example, you can see any of the projects you have done, any courses you take automatically get allocated within this. So these are all the LinkedIn courses that I have taken under podcasting. It automatically gets associated with that. Uh, if you go on further down, it's primarily the time that I was working. So you can see branding, enterprise software, strategic planning, business intelligence, 41 endorsements. This is all the time when I was actually working in the B2B space. That's when all the traction used to happen on the endorsements. But I must tell you that even this is 2009, and so about 16 years later, the traction still goes because of this endorsements. What happens is that when I'm meeting with any B2B SaaS clients, they're able to see that, yes, you have been endorsed by 3 people. So there's nothing to lose. It stays on your profile forever. So I would recommend that you do this. Now, one pro tip here is that in the early part of your career, you will need to usually give the endorsements first. Only then will you have a reciprocation from the other end. But please try to get endorsements to and from your peers, clients, bosses. In fact, even if you go to a new profile, you can simply go and start making the endorsements, and you can endorse them for skills that you probably know that they are aware of. That also helps because if you get a notification saying that you have been endorsed by so and so for this particular skill. So there's a high probability that you'll go back and check that profile.
Now that we have the skills part covered, there's another very important section which is around recommendations. This is a very key point, especially when you're working. It's basically social proof that validate your expertise and character. So the more you get, the better it is. Try and give as many as you can as well, especially many of them who were in the team, because that's something that is more useful to them than, let's say, me right now. But that's ideally the way it works. And what's the easiest way to get a recommendation? Reach out to former managers, colleagues, clients. Be specific. This is a very important point. Be very specific what you like them to highlight, because most people say, give me the content or tell me what you want to discuss and I will discuss it. So at least have the broad points so you can tell them that I want to cover leadership skills, I want to cover project, the success, client management, so on. And offer to write them a recommendation as well in return. It's mutually beneficial, you don't lose anything, and it's a win-win for both parties. As you can see, my recommendations go all the way back to 2009. Himanshu was somebody I used to work with at that time, who's now a partner at PwC. Subodh, Sendhil, Atul Nigam was my client. Sendhil and Subodh were my colleagues. So always try to get a mix of it. And these are all dating back to 2009. And then, of course, after that, these are all my GBM days in Dubai. So always try and keep a mix of partners, pre-sales, sales, peers, clients. So it has a very nice mix. It's likely that you will have 25 plus common connections with the recruiter or the hiring manager. So with the recommendations in place, you will be actually able to guide him or her to somebody you both know. And that way, even on the referral purpose, it'll become much easier because he or she will know that this is a person who speaks highly of you, and not just speaks highly of you, but has actually documented it. I saved the best for the last. I'm on the business premium, so that is why you're getting the services section. But if you go into a normal premium or even a basic one, you're going to see this. Analytics is not something you'd be able to see as an external party, but the first thing you're going to be seeing is the featured section. So just to give you an idea, let's say, so if this is the thing, you just get a highlight section about. Again, she has a business profile, so she has services, but just after that is the feature. And this is something that is very, very important. Most of the LinkedIn profiles that we audit, either they don't use this at all, or they have something pinned like 3 years ago. So this is something that has to be very, very dynamic. It has to keep moving. What can you showcase in the featured content? Lots of things. You can do blog posts, articles you've written. Actually, it's a very good idea, especially since the reach that a LinkedIn newsletter gets is very, very poor. So you can add portfolio pieces like designs, case studies, videos, presentations where you can showcase your expertise, certifications, awards. I'll come back to the certification piece, but I wanted to show you something. So out here, there is a concept that you can leverage, which is around thumbnails. So as soon as you get to her profile, you'll come to know in 1 second that she has scaled from 1 to 10,000 YouTube subscribers. The second is she's into personal branding as well for B2C. And the third is, again, since she's B2C focused, role of LinkedIn for B2C. So this is something that becomes very, very clear as soon as you hit her profile. So now, for example, if whichever one I want, I can go in and I'll see that post in detail. But this concept is very important. Coming back to mine, there is one option that you also get in a premium business version where you can set a featured to be one of the content from profile. So from here, if you want, you can even take anything. So you can take a, let's say, project, for example, right? And if you want to put this as featured, you can feature this on your premium. So this is something that can be done. And as soon as you do this, you'll find this right here. And of course, needless to say, you can align all of this. So you have to keep playing around in your actual featured section, although you can put in as many as you want. But the first one is on your mobile device. On your desktop, you'll get to see three, like the way I had shown you. So it was three that you'll be able to see. And of course, this is something that you should be changing every few weeks, if not a month. Since this is such a key section, I wanted to definitely recommend that if you have gone for a premium business, you should incorporate a recognition or an award also in this. May not be in the first lot, but maybe third or fourth. When you are designing thumbnails, like you can see in mine, I have designed a few in which also includes a video, but it's a mix and match in my case because I wanted to show a few more. A very important point that you can do is if you're targeting, let's say, three different types of offers or three different ICPs, ideal customer profile. So for example, as a first time founder, what happens? As a third time founder, what happens? So this is focused towards startups. The second one is what exactly is around thought leadership. So that is around the personal branding, thought leadership. This is third one is around the mastering social media. So how would you want to actually go and you can, so you know that this person or his agency has expertise around that. And of course, last but not the least, this one is around the sales outreach. Other than this, there's more that you can keep on building around credibility, etc. But very few people will actually go and see the entire list. Most of them will see the first three or four. So you can focus each of these for a different ICP or different positioning that you want to do. Now that we've come to the end of the important 9 steps, just wanted to mention a couple of other points. Very recently, LinkedIn has introduced a Calendly integration. If you're a premium business or a sales navigator user, you can actually schedule a Calendly link straight there, and people can book your slot directly through the Calendly. I am eligible, but I do not use it, and I'll tell you why. It's not a great idea to allow people to book your calendar straight out. So I've seen many such people who keep saying, book an appointment now, book an appointment now. I don't think it's right, especially if you're in a CEO kind of a role, because your time shouldn't be that easy to access. You need to be careful with who you want to meet. You shouldn't just be available to anyone. It should be the right person for whom you're able to take out the time, because it's also at a certain stage that you need to have a little bit of groundwork before you get into the meeting. So you only have so much time to prioritize and do the groundwork and research before you get into that. And usually the right people, be it buyers, investors, serious decision makers, they usually don't book random meetings. They will have a conversation first, only then you're going to be having a full-on meeting. But anyway, this option does exist. So if you do want to set it up with Calendly, you can do that. What else? Yeah, many people think that just by having an audited LinkedIn profile, though we charge about 10,000 rupees for this, but yes, what people think is just by doing this, they're all set. The answer to that is no way, because we need to stay active with consistent content creation. So you need to be posting regularly so it can establish you as a thought leader or an expert in your field. And there are many nuances as to whether you should go for posts, newsletters, videos, but that's more tailored as to what you want to do. And it's a discussion and a video for another day. But yes, so improving your LinkedIn profile is primarily not just around the aesthetics, it's also about telling a story that resonates. Again, as I mentioned right at the beginning, it can be with the recruiters, clients, or collaborators, improving your network. Another point I just wanted to tell you is that the LinkedIn audit or the LinkedIn profile, which we have discussed, is not something that you do a one off. So you're supposed to do it every month. For some of our clients, we do it even 15 to 20 days because the featured section keeps changing. The about us changes, rewards, recognitions, everything gets active. But even if you're not that active on LinkedIn, I still recommend you should do it at least every 3 months. So, with that, this brings us to the end of this recording. And if you'd like to connect deeper on how to build your personal brand, you know where to reach me. And I'd love to know how you like these tips as well.